no, it's his underwear. All right, folks, I'm Cole Powell, musician by day, film nerd by night. Before we get into it, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, click the bell for notification, follow, whatever platform you're on, do all the things that are promotional and benefit the channel if you like what you hear. Also, consider supporting us on Patreon for early access to episodes like these and full-length movie reactions. Sheep Detectives. This is with Hugh Jackman. And I saw the trailer in theaters. It's based on a novel, a German novel published in 2000 something, I can't remember. And the premise is Hugh Jackman is a modern day shepherd in a small rural English town. He's very eccentric, and every night he reads his flock of sheep a mystery novel. And spoiler alert, first 10 minutes of the movie, they basically spoil this in the trailer. He gets murdered, and the sheep set out to solve the murder. Offhand, just on paper, that description, this sounds like an unmitigated disaster waiting to happen. It's like, who writes this stuff? Who's coming up with this stuff? This is crazy. This is ridiculous. Yet there was something about that trailer that really hooked me that I thought, actually, I think this may be pretty good. So I went on vacation, Memorial Day weekend, saw the film, passed over Mandalorian Grogu, and it exceeded my wildest expectations. It was charming. It was funny. It had theological and philosophical depth, and they didn't even skimp on the mystery elements. It actually had a really good whodunit mystery plot with a twist ending, and I was just blown away. It was absolutely delightful. Hugh Jackman, of course, always great, even though he's not in the movie much because he dies toward the beginning of the film. There's some flashbacks, though, to get a little bit of that. His voice, he's basically doing a Michael Caine impersonation, which I think went over really well. There were a couple of newcomers that I didn't know maybe they'd been in. I didn't really look them up afterwards, but there was two of the lead guys other than Hugh Jackman, Nicholas Braun and Nicholas Galitzine. Not sure how to exactly pronounce that name. They're both a couple of British actors. The former played the police chief who's investigating the murder. The latter played a reporter that has come to town looking for his first big story. And he is actually in He-Man. He is He-Man in the Masters of the Universe. They did great jobs with their respective characters. Emma Thompson's also in this. She is always magnetic, just phenomenal. She plays Hugh Jackman's lawyer. The humor it's light, it's clean, but it also provides incisive commentary on complex human issues. And there's one particular theme that's introduced early in the movie, and they kind of bring it to a close toward the climax. And this is a little bit of spoiler territory here. The sheep in this universe, or at least Hugh Jackman's flock, don't believe in death. And for humans, they think that it's strictly fictional, that it's only in the books that Hugh Jackman reads. They don't think humans actually die. For their own species, for sheep, they think instead of dying, sheep become clouds. And that's their idea of what would be an afterlife, or at least after life on the ground, on the earth. And the reason they believe this is, or the reason they're able to keep believing this, they're born with the ability to willfully forget anything. So what happens is when they actually witness a sheep in their flock die, because they don't want to live with the pain, and because they don't want their worldview shattered, that their belief that the sheep becomes clouds is false. They willfully forget the existence of the sheep. So they never have to deal with the pain. They don't have to know that the sheep actually died and didn't become a cloud. And there's one sheep in the story that they established at the beginning of the movie that I guess he's supposed to have like some kind of genetic defect. He can't do that. He doesn't have the normal ability to willfully forget. He remembers everything. So he knows that death is real. He knows that people die. He knows that sheep die. And he basically has the burden of carrying on the charade for these other sheep because he doesn't want them to know that they've willfully forgotten all these other sheep that have died. Or they establish, they basically make him promise not to reveal anything that they've forgotten. So when Hugh Jackman's character dies, that's kind of the first challenge to their worldview. Like, oh, this is real. Humans die. That's in real life. That's not just in the books. And then later in the movie, it's a little bit of a spoiler. One of the sheep dies. And one of the other main sheep, this is the sheep voiced by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who just does a great job. Bryan Cranston is also one of the sheep. I'm not sure why two English sheep have American accents, but whatever. It works fine. Also, Patrick Stewart voices one of the sheep. But Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, who's the main sheep, she's supposed to be the smartest sheep in the world. She has to come to terms whenever she witnesses this other sheep die, and she finds out from the sheep who can't forget anything, voiced by Chris O'Dowd, that she's seen many sheep die. And she has to come to a choice. Does she continue to forget so she doesn't have to live with the pain? Or does she accept death and learn to grieve and mourn and grow and heal? And spoiler alert here, she realizes that while forgetting erases the heartache, it also erases the good and it buries the truth. Really great stuff there. Way more philosophically deep, theologically deep than it had to be. And this is it's a completely family friendly flick. There was nothing that I found objectionable in the film. There was no language, there was no innuendo. There was one scene, I mentioned that it got in some theological discussion. There's one scene where they're talking about the nature of God the sheep are. I can see some maybe find offense to that. I didn't think it was offensive at all. I actually thought it was really good because it was kind of humorously done, but it was also had serious points that I agree with and believe are true. It's the kind of movie that you can take your kids to, and we don't have a lot of those. And it was reminiscent of 50s and 60s Disney family comedy flicks. And I'm not sure if my younger kids would really be that into it because it may be a little bit too live actiony for them. But my older kids, I would definitely take to this, and that they would enjoy it. And if I took my younger kids, or if I turned it on and my younger kids were in the room, that there would be an issue because it is absolutely clean. And there's plenty for the parents and the kids. A perfect family movie. And the Agatha Christie element to this, the classic whodunit element, just elevates it to another level. I thought that this was great. Unfortunately, it is not doing well. Last I looked, I haven't checked this week's box office, but last I looked, it had done 66 million worldwide, which is abysmal, and it had an estimated $75 million budget. It is about, if it hasn't already been buried, it's about to be buried. The day I went to see it, which was now a little over 2 weeks ago, it was obviously not a priority for the theater to screen. It was the last screen at the end of the building in an 18-screen auditorium. It had only been out like 2 or 3 weeks at this point. And apparently somebody forgot to start running the commercials and previews, and I was the only person in the theater, which I saw at 10 o'clock in the morning, but still it was a decent-sized theater, decent-sized city on a holiday weekend. And I sat in there for a little bit. I finally went out and had to talk to the manager and be like, there's nothing playing. And he said, okay, let me check on that for you. And then finally, 25 minutes after showtime, of looking at a blank screen, the movie finally started just before I was about to walk out. So obviously, not doing well has not been a priority for theaters. And that's a shame because it's a really, really good movie. I highly recommend it if you like lighthearted but smart, quirky comedies that are family friendly. Sheep Detectives was an absolute delight. I give this a 10 out of 10 quality, objective rating, but also a 10 out of 10 on personal enjoyment rating. Absolutely loved this movie. All right, that's going to be all for this episode. Stay tuned. Again, subscribe, like, follow wherever you're watching, listening to this on, and we will see you next time. Film Nerd by Night, created and hosted by Cole Powell. Theme, Beautiful Now, written and performed by Cole Powell, a Randomine Records production. Section 107 of U.S. copyright law allows for the fair use of copyrighted material for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, parody, or research.